What is up, guys? Ivan here with getivan.com, and in this video we're going to be talking about the benefits of using local servers versus virtual private servers. So for the last few years or so, I've been using virtual private servers mostly through Google Cloud Platform. And in the last year or so, Microsoft has started charging for the use of the Windows operating system based on your CPU usage. So it's basically a cost per mile system. And I've been doing a lot of preemptible VPS machines in Windows OS and running marketing programs like that. So I run them in bursts, basically, a high amount of system resources in bursts for short periods of time. And so oftentimes I'll have resources that are being used for like a few bucks a month. Basically, my costs are a few bucks a month between different bursts. But then Microsoft, it turns out, was charging me like $50 for every few dollars just to use Windows. And for a long time, I thought it was. I actually thought that the extra cost was because of bandwidth usage, because I would run these programs, churn and burn, and just run them really hot and really with a lot of resources. So that's what I thought was going on. But then when I looked at the granular details in terms of the Google Cloud billing, I started noticing that I discovered that it was the Windows fees. So I kind of looked into it over on Azure, found the same thing basically, and it's just a licensing thing that they're doing across the board. But I did find that some companies like OVH, for example, they are doing some kind of bulk thing, so it's not as much of a cost per mile, but it's still like a good $20 or something like that. It's a lessened fee to use Windows, but it's still kind of significant. So I've talked to some buddies about it, and some people were recommending bare metal. I looked into bare metal before, and basically the best price cut that I was finding, or I guess that was being suggested, and that I also looked into, was about $10 a month. So OVH is like $40 a month, fully managed, and then you could do bare metal for maybe $30 a month at the low end. But then the price jumps for the machine types are pretty huge. So you go from quad core 16 gigs of RAM or something like that for $30 or $40 a month, all the way up to jump up to like 6 cores or 8 cores, and then a bunch of RAM, 32 gigs of RAM plus for like $70 a month or more. So the only benefit really there is the server bandwidth. So a gigabit up and I don't know how much down, or no, sorry, a gigabit down, I don't know how much up, but and then some of the services are unmetered, so they're not actually, unlimited bandwidth. So there's like a rate on the meter. It's very deceptive. A lot of this stuff in the VPS realm is very deceptive. And that's what kind of leads me into, there's some things in terms of running a local server that have huge benefits in terms of performance that you can't really perceive all that well when you're in a virtualized instance. So let me roll back the curtain here and show you what I've built in the last couple days, and then I'll talk about the benefits here. So you probably can't even see this black curtain all that well, but there is always a black curtain here, and this is what now resides behind it. I built this, what I have dubbed, oh, sorry, my light's flickering. I have dubbed this the mega desk. It took me about a morning, working from the morning till noon, to build this a couple days back. You can save a lot of money building your own desk with just cheap wood from Home Depot, by the way. Obviously you have to have a drill, and you have to get the self-tapping screws and stuff like that. And I'm not like a handyman or anything necessarily, but if I really want to do something, I can figure it out. And this is the third desk. This is the third Home Depot desk that I built, and I do recommend it. It can be frustrating when you just start, but you can save some money over time. So, and they're pretty sturdy. I don't have a support down here in the middle, but just on the sides. Anyways, my mega desk can support. There's some junk here I got to clear out, but it can support a lot of servers over time. So instead of, last year I spent like $900 on new servers. So instead of spending 900 or probably close to $1,000, instead of spending close to $1,000 a year on virtual private servers, and some of you guys probably spend a lot more than that. Why why do that? Why not just start building your own servers here? Because these here, I talked with a buddy of mine who turned me on to refurbishers over at eBay, and after doing some research, I was able to find these. I think these are called HP EliteDesk 800 G1. That's the model here, and there's actually different types of these. I thought this was going to be the full desktop size, but these are only about this big. They're like the size of a a PlayStation or something like that. And I ordered extra RAM, but it didn't fit, and it actually, because this machine takes laptop RAM, so I had to run over to a retail center called Micro Center here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in order to get the right RAM, because I didn't want to wait another week to get the right RAM. But it's pretty cheap. I was able to get each machine, including the extra RAM, for less than $200 a piece. And these are i5, 16 gigs of RAM, 250 gig SSD drive, and Windows 10 Pro comes preloaded. So you could cut some costs in some different areas. If you wanted to get all the pieces, you wanted to put your own Windows 10 Pro OEM key or whatever, you could save $50. Maybe you could even save a little bit more. But the thing is, why waste the time? I'd rather just get most of it pre-built, ready to go, and that was the best thing I could find. It was basically from a major refurbisher with a lot of reviews, and there was a lot of these machines available. So if I want to increase my servers over time, then I can just go and find that profile of an object, rather than having to constantly kit together every machine. It's too cumbersome. You know what I mean? It takes a VGA monitor, so I had to talk to someone I know in order to grab one of these. I actually called some retail stores, and I looked around online as well, and Office Depot was out of monitors at the nearby store. Fry's Electronics didn't even have VGA monitors, and I didn't want to drive all the way back to Micro Center. I don't even think they carried it anyway, so I just had to find somebody nearby that had one. But you can actually get a VGA monitor for like $30 on eBay or something, so it's cheap. It's just that I had to get mine locally. I had an extra keyboard. I had a ton of these extra optical mice. I got this power strip, and you can probably see back here, I did get this Cyber Power backup battery, so that's $150. But the beauty of this is this will stop power flashes. So in the event of those little surges that you get sometimes, and sometimes it can like reboot your whole machine. Like I have another one of these that's for my main desktop, and it works really well for that purpose. So I wanted to get one of those, and that can support all a lot of PCs. But so instead of spending $900 a month or $900 a year or $1,000 a year on a small number of burstable virtual private servers, you can spend half that amount, a few hundred a year, and get 2 new servers every year. 2 new servers every year, or if you wanted to spend $1,000 every year, you could get 5 servers every year. And depending on the programs you're using, like in the programs that I use, it's mostly machine power. It's mostly the CPU or the RAM. So it's not really the bandwidth that's the issue. Because I've looked at again, it depends on the programs you're using, but I've looked at the bandwidth consumption, and it's not that much by comparison. I guess it depends on what country you're living in, but like, I think you could probably do half a gig, and you could probably support a lot. I'm actually looking into upgrading my ISP to a gig, a gig down or whatever, and I think it's 200 up, a gig down. I'm looking into doing that, but haven't got there yet. Do have a network switch, so I can support up to 16 Ethernet ports, and I upgraded my modem, and I upgraded my router by talking to the ISP company I have right now. So yeah, there it is. That's the setup. It doesn't look like much right now, but that's two machines, and it only cost me a little bit more than a few hundred, maybe $500 to get started. And so every year I can just keep adding these machines and just increasing the power for running these marketing programs. Here, take a look at my desktop. So here's the remote desktop connections. You can see some of the hardware specs here for some of these viewables. I just wanted to show that briefly, and it was really easy to set up the remote connections. Like, they give you a name, and basically they're secluded to the network, so it's not like you're connecting to their IP. And then you just, I just created a login, and I just have it saved on my desktop. And that's one thing I need to mention, the performance. So when I'm looking at files, say if I'm looking at inside my instance over here, and then I'm looking at, say, my external hard drive connected to this PC. In other virtual instances, I've seen like it takes time to enumerate the files and to transfer between the drive and the virtual instance. But when they're localized, it's like instant. So the performance is way better, because I also had a buddy, someone I know was saying, why are you wasting your time with these dedicated machines and bothering with Windows? Why don't you just run it on Linux and then just virtualize Windows inside of Linux with Wine or, some other virtualization program? And, the reason is that first of all, it's too much trouble. I just don't want to waste my time doing all that. Second of all, there is a difference. There is a difference in terms of performance, and even using GCP VMs, and that experience is a lot better than a lot of other cheaper virtual private servers that you can get from private companies. And this is one of the corrupt aspects of this field. Let's switch back. Is that what they tell you get on paper is often not what you're getting. They have sneaky ways of wording them, or in reality, some kind of virtualization is going on in the back end where you're not really getting the fullness of the dedicated sources, or perhaps just the virtualization aspect is not capable of allowing you to get, the appropriate performance from dedicated resources. And so that's another thing I've noticed, even in the last couple of days that I've been operational, is the user experience in terms of handling my VM is way better, and just in terms of its performance. But then when I'm also looking at, I've run some processes, and now when I'm taking a look at the CPU usage and the RAM usage, it's something like a quarter of what I used to notice before. So like when I was running in VMs before, I would see certain processes running up to like 75% of the CPU, a quad core 16 gig of RAM environment. And with these, I'm seeing it at like 25%. So also in terms of the practical, system performance of the programs I'm running, it's a huge improvement. So it's been useful to utilize virtual private servers, and I can still see a use if you just need that server level bandwidth. But the thing is that through that coaxial cable, ISP, and now as fiber optics are becoming more readily available, people are able to access more readily, gigabit level internet at home. And so I'm looking right now. I think I'm on like 400 megabytes down, and I think it's like I think I'm maybe only seeing like 20 megabytes up or something, and it probably runs at half that downtime. I tested it the other day and on average it looked like it was about 270 down. But even with the programs I'm running, I'm not noticing any problems so far. But I'm looking into upgrading to gigabit, so that would be a huge improvement. I just think it's ironic, because you'd think we would go deeper into virtualization, but it looks like the costs are becoming unmanageable, and we're actually, because of the improvement of the internet and the cost-effective quality of computer parts. I mean, there's no reason to have our own virtual private servers, because we can just spend a couple $100 and have a whole new server that we don't have to pay for year after year. After that first year, like, it's just total profit. You know what I mean? And you can just keep reinvesting and bootstrapping into more machines. So that's just a little glimpse into one of my diabolical little improvements of late. But thanks for watching, guys. If you have any thoughts, please like, comment, subscribe, touch base, and look forward to doing more videos on this topic. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.